is the CEO of Leap Learner, which is a fantastic coding academy for children to learn coding. Now, Ami, you learned coding yourself as a child.
I did.
Can you tell us about the process?
Sure. So I was a very lucky child. My mother heard about something called coding when I was 10 years old. And she encouraged me to start learning coding, but she actually didn't expect that she would have to buy a computer for me. But growing up in a family where they hardly spoke any English and they really didn't finish high school, coding changed my life because using the computer, I was lucky enough to be the first generation of kids that knew how to code.
So, Ami, with Leap Learner, what skills does learning to code teach children?
When you look at the kids of the future will live here at 2030, and they will need completely different skills than the skills that we are providing them right now in school. They will need those soft skills that will allow them to create and to adapt very fast to the changes that exist in technology. And therefore, there is something very special about coding that helps you. In coding, we have something called the feedback loop. You write a line of code and immediately you know if it's working or not. If it's working, this feedback gives you a very strong feeling of satisfaction. And if it doesn't work, you need to debug it. And therefore, it's really the ultimate platform to learn it. And the ability to realize your dreams, anything that you had. And you asked me about my childhood. I had an idea and I just created it. I created games that taught me how to learn English. I created fun games. So you can really build your reality. And in the world of robots, this is pretty much the most important skill.
Ami, as you said, you learned coding when you were 10. Now, could you tell us a little bit about what can children expect now entering the Leap Learner program?
So the Leap Learner program is built out of 3 stages.
Yes.
On the first stage, we just let them hack games. So we introduce them to games that they actually know already, but we teach them how to hack them, how to change the parameters in the game,
Wow.
and to make them very fun.
Just a small variable.
Small variables, and we do it as soon as they are like 5 years old and 6 years old.
Yeah.
Very easy. But on the second level, this is when we're actually starting to teach them JavaScript, and we do it with a combination of natural language, a language like we speak right now,
Yes.
and the real JavaScript. And every time we start with games, so the child is always building a game or hacking a game. And the final stage is the hackathon. In the hackathon, we bring the kids together. So this is actually not an online activity. This is a physical activity.
They're competing against each other?
Exactly. And
Wow.
we create 10 or 15 groups of 10 kids, and they all develop the same game in the same time. And then you can see, for example, if we're building Pac-Man, that me and you are pretty much familiar with, yes, you will actually have 15 types of Pac-Mans, and we'll choose which Pac-Man is the best one. So it's not only you and the computer, it's you with self-learning versus the computer, and then as a teamwork, how do you work as a team to accomplish your creative goal?
So they're also picking up life skills there as well.
For sure, for sure.
Learning, they have the learning goal and the reward of actually seeing it.
For sure.
There and then.
They're learning, and think about the world of robots. When you see a world of robots dominated by robots, if you cannot code the machine will control you and code you.
Yes.
This is literally the only way that you can stay ahead of the curve, lead instead of being led.
Have you met any robots here in Shanghai? Have you seen the robots at the train station?
I've seen many robots,
Yes.
but we think about the robot as something that is moving around, but even the air conditioner or the camera that we're using, it's also some form of robot. So the camera operator knows how to operate this robot, but how do you get actually to code this robot and to make it better?
Could you tell us how Leap Learner differs from perhaps some of your competitors, the Khan Academy, Code Academy, MIT's Scratch, for example?
I love Khan Academy. I love Scratch. I think those are wonderful platforms, and any platform that teaches a child how to code, I cannot say enough. Please use those platforms. On the same time, those platforms are limited. If you look at Scratch, for example, Scratch is a little bit like learning engineering by playing with Lego, which is great in order to get to the beginning of the art, but definitely not in order to learn this art all the way to the end. And while you look at Khan Academy, The idea of Khan Academy is that you can learn by watching videos. We're saying that with the current generation, it's much better to learn by playing video games, and even better by designing video games rather than just watching videos.
I mean, Shanghai is China's most populous city, one of its most cosmopolitan. What drew you to Shanghai, either personally or professionally?
So, as Israeli, and the natural thing for me to do as Israeli is actually to start my company in Israel and then to move to Silicon Valley. My friend actually convinced me that Shanghai is the right place to do it, and I think he was extremely right about it. The reason is, when you look at education and the value of education here in China, which reminds me a lot of home in Israel, this concept of education is so important and so solid. At the same time, the quality of engineers here, and speaking about coding, and the coders in China are voted to be the best in the world.
Probably.
So our ability to work fast here and to develop in unbelievable speed is essential for our life, because in the world of coding, you really have to be always ahead of the curve, and that's what we're trying to do.
It was Wu Zhong, the former CTO of Alibaba, who convinced Ami to come to Shanghai. Could you tell us a bit about that?
I own an investment company in Israel called Zaytun Ventures. It's actually an Israeli-Palestinian investment company, and most of our investors are from China. And they will all come to Israel with us in order to see companies, to consider investing in them. And the immediate reaction was that almost everybody will ask to send their kids to spend the summer with us in Israel. And we didn't really understand what is the issue in Israel, what is so attractive about the innovation of Israeli kids. And many of my friends, including Wu Zhong, when we had those discussions, we understood that while in China you really master and perfect the concept of learning, in Israel we perfect the concept of innovating. And by combining these worlds, we understood that we have something that nobody else has ever done before.
I mean, with the funding you've received so far, how has this allowed Leap Learner to grow?
I think that we are a very lucky company, because if you look at the founders, including myself and my investing company, we financed the initial rollout ourselves. And then we had a very interesting phenomenon. People will come here to the office in order to see a demo of Leap Learner, and they would want to invest. So we actually closed our seed investment round relatively fast, in a relatively easy way, because it's a very visual concept, and people really care about education, and they understand it immediately when they see a 5-year-old kid coding. For now, rolling out in Shanghai, we are fine, but naturally when we'll start expanding into China, this is when we'll need to have our second round.
Now, Leap Learner has its beta version, well, it's already out now, and then you're hoping to roll out across China later. Can you explain to me how in Shanghai you're going to reach, well, first the parents and then the children, your initial market?
We are working together with the learning centers, after-school learning centers, and with schools. The schools are the venue that are hosting our hackathons. So this is a fantastic event for the school.
It's a good opportunity.
Exactly. So it's a fantastic event of dealing with any type of subject via a group coding. And the learning centers are actually our sales channel. There is a benefit, a very strong benefit of coding with math and English. So the learning centers are actually teaching math and English, see the immediate benefit of coding. So they're actually referring their students to us, and we are helping them. So the synergy, especially with math and English, is very clear.
Excellent. And you said one part of the academy involves natural language in programming. For Chinese kids, is this a problem at all?
No, actually not at all, because it's probably a huge advantage. When you think about it, they're actually talking like they would talk to a human being, but they're actually talking to a computer. They're talking to a machine.
And it's second language as well.
Exactly. So they can see if the computer actually understands them or not. And unlike a human being, which just look at you and I don't really understand you, in the computer you immediately know if the computer understood you or not. So, and by the way, coding, this is kind of a general thing about coding, coding is moving into natural language. If you look at coding languages of the past, they were very complicated. Most modern languages are very, very close to natural language. But again, we're trying to teach adaptability. So we're dealing with everything from small variables to natural language to all the way to JavaScript.